Welcome once again to another edition of Shelf Life Book Reviews Online. I hope the book that I'm about to review for you today is one that you will seek out when you go to your local bookstore. It is a nonfiction book. I've been reviewing quite a few fiction books lately. Now it's time to preview some great nonfiction that is very highly recommended. And the book is In on the Joke by Shawn Levy. This is published by Doubleday, and it retails for $40. The world of comedy has been very expansive over the decades. A lot of comedians have come and gone, and a lot of books in the past have looked at the world of the male comedian. Well, this book focuses solely on the pioneers of women's comedy, dating back to, of just about World War I. Shawn Levy has written books on Paul Newman, Robert De Niro, and Jerry Lewis, and now he takes on his most ambitious task, and he does an excellent job of, looking over the vast world of female comedians who have made their mark and have inspired a lot of today's female comedians as well. The first one he talks about is Mums Mabley, who was a black entertainer back in the vaudeville days. After World War I, black entertainers could only perform in front of, black audiences, unfortunately. And Mums Mabley's was a very, very talented lady. Her routine really was she was like this wizened up old lady. And she was whip smart with her remarks. She also talked about social commentary, about race relations, social relations, and basically she was way ahead of her time. And it was later mentioned that she was gay, and she was not trying to hide it. It was not publicized quite a bit at that time, but she certainly inspired a lot of comedians who came later after Mums Mabley. Now the book goes into detail about a lot of different comedians, such as Minnie Pearl. She was part of the Grand Ole Opry, and her main shtick, so to speak, was wearing her hat that had the price tag hanging down. And she was a down-home performer. She sang, she performed. I think she was on Hee Haw in later years as well, too. So the book covers all facets of female comedians, whether we are familiar. There's a couple that I was not familiar with. One of the ones is Bette Barth, who was a Jewish comedian. And it was said she was very, very raunchy. And a lot of times the police were called to her performances, and they did arrest her after the performance. Now, they always let her go, of course. And ironically, the next night when she performed, the police would be there, but not to arrest her, but to watch her, because they enjoyed her comedy so much. So it was a testimony, to the times, really, that you could say things and then you couldn't say things, and what a male might have been able to say, a female comedian could definitely not. So Shawn Levy covers all the facets of the female comedians, and he also talks about others such as Elaine May, Jean Carroll, Rusty Warren, Sophie Tucker. Another one was Toady Fields, who was often on the Merv Griffin show back in the 70s. She was a very popular comedian as well, too, who lost her leg due to complications from diabetes, I think in the late 70s. And of course, he mentioned Joan Rivers, who many consider the queen of comedy. She was definitely one of a kind, and he goes into detail about her life with, Edgar, who unfortunately committed suicide. And he reached a dark point there in his life, and he ended his life. And one more that I will mention that he goes into detail about is Phyllis Diller. Now, she had thousands of jokes. In fact, she invited people to send in jokes, and she paid people for their jokes. And she had like a huge inventory. It was like on index cards. and she really had quite a few interesting lines. Um, in the book, there are a lot of humorous things that are mentioned. Some I can't mention here because they're rather raunchy. But one of the quips here, she was asked to say a few things about her husband, Fang, just like say a couple of things, and she quipped, "How about short and cheap?" So if you like, a complete book on the female comedian, In on the Joke is no joke. It is a book that you should definitely add to your collection. As I said, a lot of these comedians inspired the top comedians of today's generation. And if not for these ladies of the past, we would not have humor as we see it today. So go out to your local bookstore and get this book, because you'll be riveted to it from start to finish. So that's the book I wanted to draw to your attention today. Hopefully you'll agree with me. Let me know if you do agree with me or don't agree with me. So until we meet again, stay safe, stay sane, stay social distancing, and do stay in touch. And I thank you again for watching. Bye for now.